We've all been sold this dream about AI, haven't we? That it was finally gonna slay all that boring work, summarizing meetings, debugging code, and that would free us up for the big creative thinking we all want to do. The promise was simple. AI would help us work less. But if you've actually started using AI at work, the reality probably feels a little closer to this. Just this constant chaotic rush, more notifications, hasn't got to more tasks, and this weird feeling that instead of slowing down, the whole treadmill of work has just been cranked up to a higher speed. So what gives? We've got a real paradox on our hands, and it's the big question we're tackling today. Why is a tool that was designed to save us time actually making us all busier? Well, thanks to some fascinating new research, we're gonna break down what's really going on. Okay, so a group of researchers spent 8 whole months inside a tech company, just watching what happened when employees started using generative AI. And what they found was, well, it's pretty counterintuitive. Instead of work going down, it consistently got more intense. And they found this intensification shows up in 3 very specific ways. The researchers have names for these: task expansion, blurred boundaries, and more multitasking. Let's dig into what each of these actually means. First up, task expansion. Here's the deal. AI makes it so much easier to try complex stuff, right? So we start dabbling in things that are way outside our normal job. Suddenly, a product manager is writing a few lines of code, or a marketer is whipping up some basic graphics. Each little thing seems harmless, but they add up, slowly expanding our roles until we're doing the work that maybe a whole other person should have been hired for. Second, AI completely blurs the boundaries of the workday. I mean, think about it. Writing a prompt for an AI feels easy. It's almost like texting a friend. So it feels like no big deal to send one last quick prompt from the couch after dinner, or to explore a new idea while you're eating your lunch. And just like that, work starts bleeding into our personal time, eating away at those little moments of recovery we desperately need to avoid burnout. And finally, there's this huge surge in multitasking. The study found that people start to see AI as a kind of partner, which makes them feel like they can keep a bunch of different projects going all at once. So you're drafting an email over here while your AI is summarizing a document in another window. It feels super productive, right? But what you're actually doing is switching contexts like crazy, which just shatters your focus and massively increases your cognitive load. And look, this isn't just a theory. Listen to this quote from an engineer who was part of the study. It just captures the feeling perfectly. He said, "You had thought that you can work less, but then really, you don't work less. You just work the same amount or even more." That really hits home, doesn't it? It just puts a human face on what all the data is showing. So where does all this lead? Well, this constant intensification isn't just the feeling. It actually creates a pretty dangerous feedback loop. That initial burst of productivity you get from AI, well, it comes with some hidden costs that can get unsustainable fast. This slide just lays out the whole vicious cycle. It starts at the top. AI makes a task go faster. Great. But that immediately raises expectations for speed across the entire team. So, to meet those new expectations, we start relying on AI even more. That reliance makes us feel like we can take on more, expanding the scope of our work. And that all leads to the final step. The sheer quantity and density of our work grows, and the cycle starts all over again. Only this time, it's spinning even faster. And for companies, there is a massive danger in mistaking all this frantic activity for real productivity. The researchers call this silent workload creep, and it leads directly to cognitive strain, to impaired judgment, and, eventually to total burnout, which ironically means lower quality work in the long run. Okay? So this all sounds pretty grim, I know. But the research doesn't just leave us hanging. The key, they argue, is that we have to stop letting AI just happen to us and start being really intentional about it. The solution is to build what they call an AI practice. So, what is an AI practice? It's basically a set of ground rules. It's a conscious, deliberate framework that guides how and when we use AI. It creates boundaries so we actually know when to stop, and it helps us manage how our work should, and more importantly, shouldn't expand. It's the necessary counterbalance to AI's natural tendency to just make everything more. And this whole practice is built on 3 core pillars: intentional pauses, sequencing, and human grounding. Let's take a quick look at what each of these means in the real world. The first pillar is all about creating intentional pauses. You see, as AI pushes us to go faster and faster, we have to deliberately build in moments to pump the brakes. These are structured times to just step back and ask, wait a second, are we still even working on the right thing? This isn't about working slower. It's about making sure all that speed is actually taking you in the right direction. The second pillar is sequencing. This one is all about managing the timing and the flow of your work. So instead of reacting to every single notification and AI output, the second it happens, you intentionally batch your tasks. You protect blocks of time for deep, focused work. This is how you fight back against the constant, costly context switching that just fries your brain. And finally, there's human grounding. As AI encourages us to work more and more by ourselves, we have to fight to protect time for actual human connection. Something as simple as a quick check-in or a shared moment to reflect can break that intense focus on the machine. It restores our perspective, and this is a big one. It sparks the kind of creativity that can only happen when you get multiple human brains in the same room. So, what's the big takeaway here? I think the most important thing from this research is that the way AI shapes our work, it's not set in stone. It isn't some inevitable future. It's a future we are actively building right now with the choices we make every single day. The real promise of AI, then, isn't just in the tech itself. It's in how thoughtfully we choose to use it. The question we have to ask isn't if AI is going to change our work. The real question is, are we going to intentionally shape that change, or are we just going to let it quietly shape us, making us more overworked and more burnt out than we've ever been before? And that leaves us with one last really crucial question. Whether you're leading a team or you're just trying to manage your own work, the time to be intentional is right now. So what pauses will you create? How are you going to sequence your tasks? And how will you protect that vital human connection? In other words, what will your AI practice look like?